because it keeps the guys on their toes. Next to her is Dirk Nachtergaele from St. Martin's, Latem, Belgium. I got that wrong. He's from St. Martin's, Belgium, and he's an old friend of mine from doing some races here in the United States. First won in 1989 on the Tour de Trump with the Panasonic team. Dirk has an incredible resume. He's worked with a lot of the top guys in cycling. This year he was working with the Tonton Tapis team and specifically worked very closely with Francis Moreau, who is the World Professional Pursuit Champion. In preparation, he also worked with Ekimov. I mean, basically, you name it, he's worked with them. Next year he'll be working with the NG Boys GB team with, it's kind of an interesting team. I'll have half Italians and half Belgium. I know Dirk is working on his Italian now. It includes Mario Cipollini, who is probably one of the very fastest sprinters in the world, Franco Chioccioli, who is the current Tour of Italy champion, and Carlo Bowman's, a lot of other good riders. You'll probably see them kicking some ass in the Tour de Pont next year. Next to him is Allan Peiper. You've all read his articles in Vela News, I hope. He's a budding writer, and he's been Allan is an interesting guy because I think when he was 17, he picked up from Australia and headed to Belgium. And is that right, 17? He's been there ever since. He's married a Belgian girl and he speaks fluent Belgian, fluent Dutch. And Allan is probably the consummate team rider. He probably could have won a hell of a lot more races, but ended up becoming a team rider, and he really knows the inside of cycling. You know, when you see on ESPN how they have those videos and you can hear the guys going, you know, they're talking on the field, stuff you don't hear on TV. He knows in cycling what they're saying, in the sense that he knows really what happens in a bike race because he's been there and been there for many years and can tell you a lot about it. And he's a very approachable guy. So I would say one of the key things is in these road training sessions on Saturday and Sunday, he's going to try and spend 10 or 15 minutes riding next to each person and specifically talking to them, so you'll get some individual one-on-one type of stuff. Patty Spiller is another old friend. She is currently the head soigneur of the Coors Light team. Before that, she worked with Wheaties Schwinn. Patty is a certified massage therapist and has a lot of experience in the American cycling. Again, I've seen she and Niki around all these races for many years, and I think what you're going to get here is a good balance between the European situation and the American situation in terms of how the approach is. In terms of asking questions, we're going to try and stick to the specific itinerary. So I would ask you to ask your questions related to the topic. We're going to have an informal question and answer session on Saturday. So there's, if you want to know about the worst crash, or what is Eddie Merckx like, or that kind of stuff, it would be good to save it for that so we can specifically focus on this, because there's going to be a lot of information to digest. I would like to give a little plug here, thank our sponsors, California Bicyclists, Cytomax, Cafe Verona, Mavic, and of course Wheelsmith. And most of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and hope you have a really useful and fun time at the Wheelsmith Wielerschool. So with that, I'll turn it over to the panel.
Hi, I'm Allan Peiper. And like you said, I don't have to say anything else. Just about wrapped it all up. It's nice to have you all here. I hope, like Tim said, that you really utilise the time we've got here. We're here for you. This is not a get-rich campaign. I've flown all the way from Australia, and Dirk's come from Europe, and the girls have driven in yesterday for 5 or 6 hours away. So we're really here to tell you all we know. Feel free to ask anything you want. Try and just get a bit close over the next few days, because the more you get out of it, the happier we'll be, and the more benefit you'll get out of your cycling. turn you over to Dirk now.
Could I interrupt for 1 second? I made a big mistake. I forgot to introduce our special guest who's going to be with us. This is Steve Larson, who's a long time, he was a silver medalist in the 1991 Pan Am Games in the team time trial, and silver medalist in the United States National Road Championship this year, and is going to be riding as a professional rider in Europe next year with Motorola. So he'll be along to contribute his perspective and kind of make your legs burn a little bit on the training rides. Anyway, sorry, back to you guys.
Hello, I'm Dirk Nachtergaele. I'm coming from Belgium, and I'm since 15 years, 1 year in a professional team. I have since 12 years a school for young riders, always 50, 60 riders each winter during 3 months. We do special training to prepare our season on the road, and I think it's very, very important to prepare your season on the bike in winter during 3 months with gymnastics, stretching and some power training, and I hope I can learn you a lot about those things, also about massage and food and everything. It's one packet. We're going to talk about it with winter training, mental training, how to eat, how to live, how to drink, how to rest and how to train. I brought some slides from my Wielerschool with me, and you're going to see how we train on cyclocross, how we train in the inside and how we train outdoor. Then you're going to see also, I have one series about 50 slides with how we take a test on a bike with Van den Bossen and Phil Anderson.
Yeah.
How we take lactate and everything, tests on the bike, and how and why we do that. So I hope you have a lot of questions and I can explain you a lot. My English is not so good, but I hope you understand me. Otherwise I go on in Flemish. I hope I can help you a lot. Patty, it's on you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Patty. I work with the Coors Light team. I'm here to just answer any questions I can about the American riding. It's a lot different than the European way, of course, but it's very similar. And if there's anything I can do, I'm very approachable, and I'll answer any questions I can about whatever.
I'm Niki, and this year with Spago was my first full-time. The past 4 years I was freelancing, so I worked with 7-Eleven, Schwinn Wheaties, Coors Light, so I've got to work with a lot of teams. And Patty and I have both done races in Europe and South America as well, so we have a little bit of that experience.
So I think we start about winter training. I wonder if there is winter here in California, because it's so warm here and everybody said that it's cold, but the river where I live is totally frozen now. It's very hot for me here. So what's important for winter training? The most important for me in winter is, after a full season of riding the bike, of doing stuff like that, and you do maybe 60 or 80 races in Europe a year, you have enough from the bike. You have to build up, you have to create new ideas for the next season. And your mind is tired about everything. You have to think about other things. You are getting on the feet.
You've had enough of cycling.
You've had enough of cycling. You said it's over. And then mostly of young riders and even old riders, not old, but like Allan, who do already 15 years biking. They said, wait, next year I will do that, and next year I will fix up something like that, and next year I'm gonna do it another way. And there are so many different things what you can do for it, but nobody do something on it. That's the reason why I started Wielerschool in Belgium. That's the reason why I pick up young riders between 15 and 25 years, and even Allan is coming also to the school, how to build up the season for next year. It's always during 3 months, November, December, January, and we start with running, with gymnastics, and every week a little bit harder and harder and harder, and then you don't use a bike for 3 months, and then you want a bike. You said, I need a bike now. You have new ideas. You are powerful. You feel very healthy because you're training outside. You have the muscles feeling very good. You feel you're ready to make a race. And without riding bike, you're ready to race 100 kilometers. No problem for it.
I must just say, I've done Dirk's Wielerschool 85, 86, 87, 88, and through all those years I got off the bike on 15th of October or something, and I started with Dirk at the start of November and trained with him until Christmas time, and I didn't touch the bike, I didn't even look at a bike. And I got back on my bike the first day of training and rode 100 kilometres with the guys I usually train with, and they couldn't even get rid of me. I was as good as everybody. I put weight on in my calves from running, and I lost a little bit of thigh muscle because I wasn't cycling so much, but my upper body got stronger, my back was stronger, and you know, it was really, these blokes, the other guys I was training with, they were blown out that I hadn't ridden, and we just went out and did a 100 kilometre hammer session. And so it's like what Dirk says as well, I think it's really good. Let the mind recuperate, do something else, do another sport, build up your body, especially for younger riders, but even if you're older it's great because cycling is just so one-sided, you know, your hips don't move sideways, you know, if you're going to play tennis for an hour when you've been cycling for 6 months, you can't move. I went swimming the other day and did 10 laps with the kickboard and I couldn't move for 3 days, I couldn't even stand up after it, and I thought I was fit. So this is really what he's talking about.
That's the meaning of the training in the winter. So you're really ready for the season. So how can you bring a winter? How can you pass a winter? You can go on with cycling, but I'm not so favorite for it because I think you have to forget your bike, and after 2 months you think, I need the bike now. Now it's still 3 weeks, still 2 weeks. Now we go. And it's like that. You're so hungry for it. And then the second thing you can do here it's not. It's easier to take your bike because the weather is better. In Belgium you have snow, it's cold, it's freezing, you have mist, smoke, mist, and it's not possible to train so much. There are riders who do that, but it's not so good for healthy and it's not so good for your body because you're the whole year busy. Then you can do a second thing to forget your bike, that's going out and drinking beers and making going to parties. You forget your bike also, but it's not good for your body. Then you have the cyclocross training and cyclocross competition. In Belgium every week you have, on Saturday, Sunday, you have cyclocross. You know what cyclocross is?
Yeah. I think you all know what cyclocross is, don't you?
They have cyclocross. But my idea about cyclocross is you can train it, but don't do too much competition. And if you do competition, you have to have a break after the winter season and then afterwards to build up again for the season on the road, because cyclocross it's something very hard. It's 1 hour the whole time in resistance. Resistance. It's too hard to do that, and especially for young riders when you're 16, 17, 18, even 20 years old, it's too hard. You lose too much power, and then you start the season and you don't have reserves. So you have to build up in winter. You have to be new again to start a season.
Using the resistance in the winters, like the winter's a time where you really build up the reserves in your body. That's the energy you've burnt out, you know. So you have the winter rest, so you build up these reserves again. So you really don't want to get into resistance training. That's like burning deep amounts of energy. I mean, you get good fitness, but you don't need that in the winter. That's something you want to build up, you know, for the season. So when you start to race again, you've got really good resistance. You can go straight into the races, but if you're using that during the winter, you're using energy you really want to be using in the summer. It's like you could probably graph it really well when you come down, because I know when I finish racing as well, my metabolism feels really good for 10 days because I'm not training, and then I get a drop, you know, my metabolism goes right down. I lose fitness, of course, because the metabolism's gone off. You start to build it up again, and then you come back into the season. You start the season with your resistance reasonably good, and as you start racing you go even higher and higher, and then you start to peak like around the classic time. But if you've come into the winter and you've only had a little rest and you kick your resistance up, like I would even say with a lot of really hard mountain biking, then your resistance is already up there, so your body hasn't got that chance to consolidate and let energy flow back into it that you need in the season. So really you're already burning before you get there, and you'll never hit that peak right up the top, you know. It's like it's like a really slow process, but over the years I think Dirk's got it down really well, and he's sort of taught me as well the same system. I've spoken about it in a couple of my articles, but it's energy need in the season, and that's what you're building on right now. Like even here in California, you know, it's great to go riding, mountain biking and doing everything. Because I've been out with the guys, you know, night riding last night, out on the bike yesterday, and out with the tandem yesterday afternoon. You know, that's really great, but it's like Dirk said, you need a mental rest from it as well. You need a mental rest so that you've really got heaps of morale to go and race or you know, get out there every day and hammer your friends or whatever, you know. It's just a break. I suppose it's just life, isn't
It's
it?
a break, and there is, in cycling there's one golden rule, and that's when it's not good here, it's not gonna go good here.
Yeah.
You have to be a clear mind, you have to think about cycling, you have to be like that, you have to be busy with it. And if you're a whole year busy with cycling, in winter you need something else. And you're busy with your body and you build up for the next season, and then you have a lot of confidence in it to do good. So you have also the training on the track. I'm voorstander. I'm very positive about
Behind it, yeah.
I'm behind it. I'm very positive about track training, because you have a fixed wheel,
Yeah,
a fast
gear.
gear, and you turn. If you do 30 kilometers with a fast gear, it counts for 60, because you're always pedaling. You can't rest. You have to pedal. So I said to all my young riders, and if they do a little bit training in January and February on the bike, you have to do it with a fast gear, because you train the double, and it's very good for the muscle. And you have to turn a 42-17 or 42-16. It's very small, hill up, hill down, and you have to stay pedaling. It's the best thing you can do for the muscle. So I'm very behind the track training or training with a fast gear. You have also in winter mountain bike. Mountain bike is a kind of power training, because you use a lot of muscles, also the back, the arms, everything. It's very good to do mountain bike to build up, but not too much, because you're again busy with cycling. And then you have power training. Power training is a discipline they use a lot, I think a lot in America, but cyclists are not bodybuilders. Cyclists have to ride, they have to pedal, they have to have muscle, who the legs have to turn. So I'm against the system they do with weights and everything. It's better to take your partner on your back and then on your shoulders, and you carry him, and you run on a hill with a guy on your back. It's better to work with living things than with dead things. It's not so good. You have to use with your partner. You have to work it out. You will see this often how we do that. And then the last thing is skiing. Skating and cross-country skiing. That are the things you can do in winter. What's my vision on winter? My vision is to build up 3 months, like I told you, and to work together in a group, and you have friendship, you have the competitivity in it.
Because that's what I find as well with like Dirk's Wielerschool. I'm getting older, and then I go and do this gymnasium, like circuit work stuff with all these young guys. They all want to beat me and like wipe me out, you know. But it's like I really keep in the competition of it, you know. They're young, they've got this drive, they want to really go for it and show they're the best, and I'm getting a kick here and a push there, and you know, I'm flying around everywhere, I get more injuries.
I can remember that the first year Allan was coming, he was good busy, it was okay, but he's a professional rider. He have to let's see something of the young riders how to do it. And I thought he was not too aggressive, not enough aggressive. I said, Allan, we do some exercises together, and then he couldn't beat me in it, and that was good to give him some power to do better. And it was a start to do the exercise with more energy. And also the younger riders, they were following him, and you have respect for another. That's very important. The respect, the friendship, and the competitivity you have in a Wielerschool like that. So maybe we can look at the slides and get some commentary on it. First of all, we started winter training, and we started very relaxed. We built it up it's the first 3 weeks. It's some kind of recovery training
Yeah,
from
recovery.
winter.
You need recovery between each session because you're dead for about 3 days. That's what it means.
No, you recover as a recovery training for 3 weeks, and you build up your lichaam aanpassen.
Yeah, you build up your body to.
You build up your body too to do that kind of training, and then we do a lot of stretching because it's very good against injuries. Because if you are riding on the bike the first weeks and you don't do too much stretching, your legs are hurting, and so it's very important to do stretching even the whole year. And that's also one of the most important things in my Wielerschool in Belgium. Then afterwards we go with running and the wood and everything, and we go on. We go over from recovery training to uithouding.
Endurance work.
Endurance work. And then afterwards we go more on power and endurance together. So I'm sure if you do a training like that for 2-3 months, you sprint maybe 2 bikes faster than the year before, because you're so powerful that we do some exercise for legs. For the legs you can really ontploffen.
Speed work is really good.
It's very good.
I think you could probably, you haven't got a Wielerschool here, but you know, if you're really like keen to work on your season for next year, circuit work in the gym is really good as well. It's something like Dirk does. On Monday night we do it in the gymnasium, and it's circuit work. It's from one station to the next, and by the end of an hour, you know, you're really tired, but that builds up the speed and the overall fitness of your whole body, not just in your legs. It's in your lungs, in your arms, in your back, your shoulders, your stomach, your legs. Everything gets much fitter, you know, and when you get back on the bike, you know, you feel so much stronger. It's, you know, it's just a pity you can't carry this through the whole season, because, you know, once you get back to cycling takes up so much time, you haven't got time for anything else. But the overall body fitness you take into the season is what carries you through the year, you know. It's like, it's such a good basis, I can't sort of emphasise it too much. So if you haven't got a Wielerschool like us, then, you know, circuit work is, you know, the next best thing.
Allan, what kind of circuit work are you talking about?
Well, I think I'll just give my vision, and Dirk can say what he thinks. But I would think, you know, doing like some stretches to start with, and then like doing stool stepping, you know, and then you do stool stepping with weights when you get better at it. And you can do small weight fast repetition work, like with a minute rest in between each station. Like have 10 or 15 stations where you work around in an hour or something like that, you know, where you're pushing yourself, you're your own master, you go as fast as you want, but you'll see after a couple of weeks you get fitter. It's not like you're going to come home after your first session of bodybuilding and you're going to like lie there the next day because your muscles are so sore. You're going to be tired and you'll probably be a bit stiff, but you feel the strength build up in your whole body. And like, you know, I remember doing it as a kid before I went to Dirk's Wielerschool, and I used to do upper body work because even those days I didn't believe in doing leg work, but I used to do upper body power building when I was younger to get me a bit stronger.
I see that.
But anyway, yeah, but the circuit work was really, really good, and when you get back on the bike you can just motor, you know, it's just an all-round thing, and that's what you could do alternatively to Dirk's Wielerschool.
This year I got 20 different exercises, and we have a big hall where we do it, and I put a paper each 5 meters with a mat, and we start on each mat, and we started with 20 seconds, then 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and 1 minute. And now we are busy 1 minute. You put hands and feet, and you pump during 1 minute. We started with 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, they fall over and they are really dead. Now they do it for 1 minute, and you build it up, and you feel your body so much stronger than before. It's unbelievable. And there are all different kind of exercises. This afternoon you will see how we do it, and you can pick some out, and you do it every day for during 15 minutes, and you're going to feel so much better. It's unbelievable. So what's also very important in a school like that, there is some extra motivation, because you're in a group and you do more than you can, and you won't give you over to another because he's a little bit stronger, and you do, there is something, you fight for yourself to be one of the best ones. And that's something you learn in the winter to do also in summer, because you want to always be the best one. I'm only this 1 year, and I will also be the best one. I was also fighting to become in a big team, and it gave me 3 years. I said I want to work in one of the 3 biggest teams in Europe. If I'm not there, I stop it. I do something else, maybe politics or something. I try to be the best one, and I said it gave me 3 years. And if you're a rider, you have also do that. You have to fight for it. You want to be the best one in each number, in each thing you do. And that's also what I learned to my son. I have a son who's also a bike racer. He's 18 years, and 2 years ago he was riding on the track. He's he's a good rider on the track. And I said we work to one point. That's very important. You ride in the other races only to learn and to see who are your tegenstrevers.
Your opponents.
Who your and he was riding for the championships of Omnium in Belgium. That's sprint, the kilometer. It's elimination, shoot, and point race. They make a classman over it for the championship of Belgium. He was champion of Belgium. Last year we said we take another thing. Championship of Belgium, medicine. It's medicine. Yeah. Medicine. So I went in winter to Bohan. It's in the hills. Yeah, not hills like here, but it's up and down. They're training there with a fast gear, training with a mountain bike. 3 weeks before the championships, everybody said, Nachtergaele, he's fool, he's crazy, it's not possible to do that. We went there, first week after, they were not so good on the track, because the legs weren't used to the track, but they were very powerful. 1 week later, a little bit better, 3rd week's championship of Belgium, first champion of Belgium. That's how you have to work to it. That's how I worked during the season when I was with Panasonic with Allan also. He said we go to Eastbergen to win. I remember it. It's so beautiful to remember that. He said that's a race. It's good for you. It's an important race in France, and like the Grote Prijs van Leuven, Remo and Panis.
Yeah.
Also we said that's an important race. During 3 weeks we think only about that. That's important. There we go. Then Allan, Eastbergen you win, and Sandy Klaas you win the Grand Prix in Panis. It's very important that it's very good to have a goal. Yeah, to have a goal to say that's important and to live for it. That's very important. So we do it in the Wielerschool also. I try to that riders understand that you can't go every day again for winning. That's not possible. You have to build up. You have to think about it. You have to say, oh, that's important for me. That's in my possibilities. So I think we go look a little bit to the slides and we give some information about it.
Allan, how many sets when you're doing the circuit training? How many repetitions? 12 to 15, 15 to 20?
Well, I'd probably go to a gymnasium, because if you're doing it at a gymnasium, most of the guys that are going to set up a circuit work thing for you will know you can specify exactly what you want. You want a circuit work that gives you all-round body movement, because you want to strengthen up your arms, legs, backs, everything, you know. So
you do the exercises which incorporate as many muscle groups as possible
Exactly.
instead of isolating single.
So you're working on your heart, you're working on these muscles, you're working on flexibility. That's the most important thing. You get the whole body working, so that then it's really good for cycling. You probably see a lot of these exercises in here anyway.
There's a group of the Wielerschool I went to stage. It's like that, Allan? Als we een stage gaan. Yeah, we do a training camp in the winter. That's the group where we go with it. So we go normally running in the woods and everything.
Excuse me, Dirk.
Yeah.
On that running, you start out with 20 minutes of running and work up to an hour's worth of running, or?
No, look, that slide is it's some to show how it's going. Here we start. somebody knows something from electricity. Maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. After 1 month, 5, 6 weeks, you can run for 1 hour if you want. But your body gets used to it. Because running too much, we are not runners. You have to run for 10 minutes, you do gymnastics, you do all kind of stuff. Because the second one, see here, we are up on a hill normally here. And you see they put their hand in forwards because they have a partner. And everybody is running for maybe 250 meters. And we do it, we have some competition in it, and they are really fighting for it. So you do 250 meters, but at full speed, you put everything out of your body, you're waiting, the other is coming back, you go again. So it's a kind of interval training.
So it's up and down the hill on this
Yeah, it's a
particular
hill,
one?
you run down, we do a little circuit and you come up. Sometimes we do it, we run the hill down, we pump 10 times, then you go to another tree, then you have to pick it up 3 times, then you run up the hill, the other go. So you see it's an exercise, you put your hands on the ground and you pump for maybe sometimes we start 10 times, some of us do it 80 times now. Did some stretching. More fun and it's better for you also. So we spring off, jump over the body. We're running on a route of pistol on a track. We're running on a track. We do some, it's a track 400 meters and we run 1 time 400 meters. We do it as fast as we can. Then we take the time, then we run 5 times the 400 meters, the same time, but 20% more. You have 20, so you use 80% of your capacity. If you're running for maybe 200 seconds, you do 20% more. It's 240 seconds you're running on the 400 meters or the distance you do. Dark. She is cold in Belgium.
That was self-power.
Do all kind of exercises. You will feel it this afternoon how it works.
No, extra work.
So that's
Much harder work to do.
training we do. We normally here at the front there are the bikes, and we have a lap, and one lap you ride on the bike, and your partner is waiting. You arrive, your partner takes his bike, and you start again. Then you run a lap, the other one is waiting, the other one run a lap. It's also a kind of interval, and we do it on the bike and it's running. Stretching.
It's really good to be limber from stretching. If you do a lot of it in the winter when you're doing your circuit work training and stuff, it helps to lessen the likelihood of getting injuries in the season because you haven't overstrained, your muscles are much longer. When you start cycling again, you know, everything is really in its place and it can move into a new sport really well.
You see in one line, and you jump over the arm of the other guy. You go on and on the whole time.
Looks
So
easy.
it helps. It looks very easy, but it's not so. And it helps you, especially the muscles for sprinting and everything. If there is an attack in the peloton, you can react very quick on it because your muscles are used to do a very short effort. Group. When you train good, you have to eat good. And then tomorrow we talk about what to eat and what to drink during the race and out of the race. See, how we take the bike is not good. Then we learn also. We take the bike on his shoulder, but he don't have it. You have to take it down, the tube down.
That's by the way Dirk's son.
See, you don't take it good the first one. You take the handlebar on the right side. You have to take it like the second one on downstairs, and you push it to your body so your bike is coming higher, and you do it on a more economic way. That one is a little bit better, but not very good. See, the powerful guys, they ride up the hill. At the bottom. There's an amateur in Belgium. The Bouts is one of the best riders from Belgium. There's nobody who can ride 5 kilometers as fast as him, but he's so stupid. That's one of the strongest minds in Belgium. See his ride, it's a very bad road to be riding on it, and Boston so easy, it's a very, very good rider. That's the stupid one. I can see it. So that one takes the bike very good. So you take the handlebar on the left side with his right hand. So you push the bike to your body and it comes up and you carry it very economic. That's what I would tell you there. They let the bike down and then they push another one with the kind of interval, aflossing rather. So they run to the bike. They are waiting for the guys who are running.
Is that you?
That was me. That's a few years
He's
ago.
not holding his bike very well, is he? And he's only in the bottom.
Are you guys using cleats to run up these hills right here, or is this all just running shoe?
Okay, they have cyclocross shoe. That's shoes like normally shoes, but yeah, with
Spikes
two
in.
pins on the end.
Okay.
It's a kind of, it's like shoes they use for a mountain bike.
Mhm.
So it only have with the pedals now, like a look system or time system or something like that, and there are two pins for running because you put it into the,
Like football boots.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, like
There's cleats in.
football shoes. Yeah, sure, cyclocross shoes. Because that grass with the snow and stuff is real slick. I'm always afraid of
You see, we use a lot of hills because you go always in resistance then. It's very good to like, you do winter training, one of the riders is already 32 and he's still amateur. And he's married, has two children, and he said to me last week, "Oh, I do some power training home. I take my wife in my arms and I run 20 times the stairs up." Very good training for it. It's the same like we do. So as you come home, tell me why I'm very good training.
But the good thing about doing those short hills that Dirk does is they're only, because they're so short, they're under 20 seconds, and you only use, you don't build lap capacity because you're using readily available energy. So you recover for the next time you have to do it while you're building resistance as well.
Two double, just a double of that. There's always a winner also. Mountain bike also. I think on Sunday we're going to talk about position on the bike. I will tell you that guy is not good on the bike. You see his knee is between his arms. You have to be more backwards and
Longer.
longer. Yeah.
He's too cramped up on his bike. His saddle has to go back and his handlebar has to go out. See, his back's not flat enough to start with, it's not giving him an aerodynamic enough position. Plus he's too cramped to really get a lot of strength out of his body.
You see, there's a guy on a normal bike, cyclist bike, and one guy on a mountain bike. You can ride faster on a normal bike in the wood and so, not on the hills, but normally you can ride faster. But you use more muscles when you ride a mountain bike. It's better in winter to do mountain bike than normal cyclocross. Because you work more on the back and your arms and everything.
That's a stupid one again.
You can ride very fast.
What's his name, Dirk?
I think next year is professional, the butts.
The butts. Okay. I look around now. The butts.
This is from Peiper. There's one of the young riders last year, he won 20 races in Belgium.
I just wanted to add something for this group, because it looks like most, and I think most people in America in general come to cycling from other sports, whereas when you look at these young Belgian riders, a lot of these exercises seem sort of remedial or simple. But you have to understand, most of these kids, they started riding maybe when they were 8 or 9 or 10 years old, and they're so specific in their sport that all winter long, they're trying to get their bodies. I mean, a lot of these guys you look and they look like they're permanently hunched over a bike, whereas I think more of us have come from a background of, say, basketball or other sports where you're more well-rounded. And again, some of this stuff may seem simple, but if you get to a point in your cycling where you're spending that many hours on the bike, one is during the first week of this training, you will feel real awkward, and these simple exercises don't seem so simple anymore. So I've done them at a lot of the camps at the training center and other things, and you really, it's amazing how you can be so fit for the sport of cycling and yet really uncoordinated in general. But these things really do work. After 3 or 4 weeks of this, you really feel like that you have the fitness base of your year of cycling, and then you develop the coordination and the muscular control of doing these other things, and then you begin to feel like a real complete athlete. And that's what you should feel like in the winter before you get back into your training. So although they look simple, and today you may feel real awkward doing them, they really do work. I just kind of want to emphasize that. Some of this stuff may seem simple because you've done all these. You guys play tennis. A lot of these guys don't. I've raced with these guys, and they've been bike racers from the time they could ride a bike. So they really need that. And if you develop to that point where you're spending so much time on the bike, the winter months are really, really critical to get back to sort of being a human being. Yeah, bike pedal, being able to stand upright and not always bent over.
That's only the last. I was the first one who started Wielerschool in Belgium, and one time a trainer, a very important trainer, who trained always was in the Vlaming. He said. Wielrenners zijn reuzen op levende voeten, maar omgekeerd. Dus dat allemaal motiveert, omdat ik je lichaam op je hart en je rug. En daarom moet de trein op dat lichaam weer op normale wijze te zien groeien. Dan weer naar het lichaam iets anders.
He said the bike riders are really good, but they've only got legs, so you really have to train the body to be normal again, so they can function much better. Thank you for explaining that. That was really good.
Also, the bikes have to be good.
Dirk, I have one more question. In this winter training, I noticed these guys all seem to be using good road bike equipment. Are these their second bikes, or are they taking their primary road machines on this, and are they using their primary road machines?
No, those are all bikes that they use it only to do cyclocross. There's an old bike, they build it to do cyclocross. They have special tires on it.
Okay.
Only to do cyclocross.
Okay. I've seen cool modules and stuff.
That's usually open.
That's some things out of the gymnasium we are working in.
Monday nights we do gymnasium, circuit work inside the gymnasium.
It was lighter. Take one, that's me. You see, we cross the legs, one leg over the other, and one the other side, the other under. Then we come up, we do sit-ups, 30, 50 times, 80 times at the end of the season. Then you feel really, you have muscles in your back and your arms everywhere. All kind of exercise we do like this. That's after the 2 hours we do the gymnasium, they're all lying on the ground. So we put the arm under the legs, the other side the same, and we take up the legs, and we change them like that, you know.
Change over from left to right, the legs, we'll use your stomach and back muscles.
You can see it better.
Oh, I see.
Then you're lying on the ground and in your front, and you take up your arms on the ground, and your legs are lying only on your gargle.
From your stomach.
See? In the beginning of the winter, you put it only 10 centimeters above the ground. Say you do it almost 60 centimeters now. Same as a very good exercise for the back, the muscles you use when you're riding in the hills. So you took one and you pull them over until the ground and you go back and then the other one pull you.
This is stomach work. Pull your legs up. Dirk might just stand there for anything from 30 seconds to a minute, holding your legs up. You see these guys, their legs are getting lower and lower, and usually right out, just walking along and yelling, "Get those legs up!" And I used to have a competition to see who could keep their legs up there the longest, and I was always pretty good at that. It was the only thing I was really good at, you know?
Normally you hear them talking, here you have to pull you up on the rack, and then you hear only, they don't talk anymore now. Over the bunkers, weer de voet, links, rechts.
Yeah, jumping from left to right over a stool, a long, what do you call that stool? What do you call it? Bench, yeah. It's really hard. That's a hopeless exercise for me. I just got no sideways movement in my hips at all. And some of these guys are really, really fast, you know. And Dirk usually stands beside me and tells everybody what a fool I am, you know. It makes me feel really small, but it really urges me on to do better, so I don't look so stupid.
If you do this with balls, they are from 3 until 5 kilos. You have to let them up, and somebody hold your feet on the ground. It's only the second line who's laughing. Here you carry somebody on your shoulders. We go for how long is it in that? 50 minutes. 50 minutes. Then we put them down, we change again. We do a real competition.
But it's running, it's not just walking with it on your shoulders. You run with this guy.
Then you cross your feet like that. So you one feet off the other, you let it, and then you pull your only on your arms.
You drag your feet along the ground. That's a race as well. Sprint competitions.
Okay, it's finished. It's over slides with a American projector. Projection. So you see I'm for cyclocross. because you use a little bit of bike, but you don't do very big distances. It's a very voordeel. Is a voordeel.
Help.
It's a help, and it's better to do that instead of the track, because you're in the air, you have a lot of oxygen. That's on the track, smoke, you don't have so much oxygen. On the track it's always very, very cold in Ghent, and you use a lot of power in cyclocross, so it's good, but you can
You can change that with other
You
things.
can change that with other exercises, like we shall do this afternoon. And what's the minus in cyclocross is if you do competition, you go always farther than you can, and you are always fighting with the others in the race, and you use too much energy that you need during the real season on the road.
Yeah.
On the track, in the dead period, it's a good thing to be busy, because you learn to ride very close in the wheel, you learn to take a position for the sprint, you learn if you do pursuit, maybe for 3 kilometers, said that's 3 kilometers, 3,000 meters, I have to all my energy, I verdeel it.
Spread it.
I spread it over the 3,000 meters. That's very good to do that, and the fast gear is very good, because I told you already, you turn, and you use always the muscles 2 times instead of 1 time.
Can I just explain something there?
Yeah.
The reason Dirk doesn't do a real lot of resistance work in the winters, which like I just explained before, because you need that energy built up over the winter, you need that for in the season. But what Dirk does, after you've had a rest after the season, you start off doing your winter training with Dirk, and you run while you're at home, and you go to the track, and you're starting off getting your general fitness, and then you're moving into endurance work. Like a lot of his work is mostly endurance work, which builds up your total endurance level, and then you can move more into your resistance. Because I'm not a PhD in anything, but I've got a feeling, this is my thought, that you've got so much resistance and so much endurance, and it's only, say, a block that big, and if you've got this much endurance and that much resistance, that's perfect. But you can't start off the start of the season like that, so you really need to move into a full endurance block to start with. That's where your long distance work comes, that's where circuit training comes in. That'll help, of course, your resistance, but it'll help your overall fitness. So you really want endurance work. If you're doing a lot of mountain biking, say 2 or 3 times a week, and you're riding in the mountains out the back here where it's really hard, that's resistance work. You know, you're going downhill, you're not doing anything, so you're back to full recovery. And riding up the hill, you're at resistance, so you're not building up that endurance at all. You're really burning heaps of energy at resistance level. What you want to do at this time of year is work on endurance level. Great to go mountain biking, but not hammering at the limit all the time, you know. I mean, if you're with your mates, it's difficult because everyone wants to go hard, you know. But if you can go by yourself, ride your smallest gear, you know, look at the trees, listen to the birds, watch the stream, think about, you know, everything, you know, whatever you want to do, that's endurance work. That's keeping your level, your heart rate level at 70%, so you're building that endurance work, so you've got a fully solid basis before you start on your resistance. And that's what Dirk was trying to talk about with cyclocross, and I think that really covers mountain bike, because that's what a lot of you people do here, you know.
During this period, then, you would start out at, say, an hour's worth of endurance work in the first week, an hour and a half a day, varied stuff. And as you progress through the winter season, then you're building up your endurance work, say 2 hours when you're 2 weeks in, 3 hours when you're 4
But you'll feel that
weeks in.
yourself, really. It's like someone could make you up a program, but if you start, you know, if you went to 3 hours, you'd hammer yourself, wouldn't you? So if you start with an hour and you vary the things you do, like you do your circuit work, or you do some mountain bike, you do some swimming, you go start off with your running, because I'm a firm believer of running in the winter as well, like for the rest of your body and for your cardiovascular. But changing this all around, you know, the fitter your endurance gets, the more of a block your endurance has, the more you feel you can move into resistance then as well. So you can go out with your friends and you can do a bit of resistance work on a climb, you can go for a run and, you know, really get into it. And the better you feel, the more your resistance builds, the whole broader aspect of your fitness gets to be. But it's only just using your brain a little bit. Really, it's only just common sense, isn't it, really? You start off slowly, you build up bigger, bigger, bigger. This is just scientific terms for it.
So if you're going to do any type of interval in whatever cross training you're doing, there should be short type intervals as opposed to a long, like an anaerobic threshold interval, which is a long continued one where you use up more reserves. But like you said, with the hill climbing, you know, maybe a 20-second running up a hill or a short sprints on the road or short sprints on the track or wherever you're doing them, so you can recover much quicker, you don't have the lactic acid buildup and that kind of
Well,
stuff.
I think at the start of the season, that's really good. ATP, you're using ATP, which is direct supply energy. It's like going up a set of stairs. You get to the top of stairs and you say, oh, my legs. But if you had to go 3 more flights of stairs, it wouldn't matter because you'd come in, you'd start to burn, you know, muscle energy. That causes lactic acid. But I've spoken to a lot of the top doctors in Europe about their training ideas because I'm really interested in training and have done a lot of interval work. But ATP, when you do short 20-second bursts, like if you're running, if you're cycling, if you know, whatever you're doing, 20-second burst, uses ATP, which is recovered again in say up to 5 minutes or something, and that builds your resistance as well. But if you're doing long work, like you're talking about 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah, that's really, really hard resistance. That burns heaps of energy. It has such a big strain on the body. Like I was telling some guys yesterday, I trained for Eddie Merckx this year to the 55 kilometre time trial in Brussels. And the week before I did a 4-hour training. I did an hour warm up on my normal bike and an hour warming down on my normal bike. And the 2 hours in between, I did 4 times 7 minutes at my resistance level, which is like 10 beats below my maximum. 4 times 7 is 28 minutes. That's real hell of a work just about on your biggest gear. And then I did 3 times 30 minutes at 80%. So you know, when you come home, you're totally wasted. But you can't move into anything like that until your resistance level and your overall fitness is built right up. But the ATP is fantastic for starting off. When you've got your endurance and you want to move into more harder work, ATP works really good because you're not burning energy, you're not producing lactic acid. You need alkaloids to get rid of this lactic acid each time it's in there, and then your body's only got so much alkalines in it. When these alkalines are burnt up, you know, they're burnt up, they just keep building up and you get chronic fatigue, and it's...
But if you're training like Allan said, like he did for Grand Prix de Merckx, you need years for it. You need a lot, 3 years, 3-4 years to know your own body. You work together with the soigneur and the trainer, and they have to say, oh, easy now. That's very important. Also the people who are around you.
Yeah, because I go to Dirk sometimes, and if I'm training hard, he knows my legs better than I do. He'll tell me, I said, shit, I'm tired today, Dirk, I've just been out behind the Derny, I feel really tired, and I go to him, we're having a massage, I say, yeah, but your legs are strong and good, you know, just take it a little bit easy tomorrow and you'll be out for Sunday or whatever, you know. Because as a sportsman, we'll get psyched out by ourselves sometimes because of the mental way we feel or the physical. Of course, I know they're both the same thing, but one affects the other and vice versa. But he can tell me how my legs are and how my body feels, and the trainer will like change the training towards the program of how I'm feeling or what Dirk said. So we have a really fine balance of
that's what I said. If the head is not good, the legs don't follow. You can be very good and the head is not good, you don't ride. If the head is good and the legs are not good, you don't ride. You have to be totally, very 100% okay. And also motivation is a very important thing in it. And I think you...
Concentration.
And concentration also. And a masseur, a soigneur, he has to feel the legs. And I said always, you have to look with your hands. If you give a massage, you have to look inside the muscle and to think how like that. You don't have it in the first time and not the second time. But after many years experience, you feel how the legs are. You know your guys were coming, and you can perfect say today it will be a good day or tomorrow it's a classic. It will be good. And like Allan, I'm working already how many years with you? Since
6 or 7 years.
Yeah. 6 or 7 years, and I can exactly. You need that. You have that training. You do like that, and I know when here it's not good, how to talk with him. It's that's all little points.
Yeah.
You have to put it together. We will talk about it a little bit later. It's a circuit, and it has to be, the circle has to be round. Everybody have his own job in it, and if one in a schakel,
Yeah.
it's like a chain.
Yeah.
If one
link doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It don't work anymore. That's very important.
On those 20-second, when you're showing those guys going up the hill, on that 20-second burst that you guys are talking about, is that an absolute flat-out maximum? You're
Yeah.
going up that hill as hard as you can
Yeah.
for 20 seconds,
Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
going into a rest period.
But it's not, we don't do it always 20 seconds.
Mhm.
We start maybe with 10, 12 seconds, 20, 30, we go to 1 minute. And then you burn your sugars.
Yeah.
You can go to 1 minute.
Sugars,
That's a little bit very difficult to explain. But if you go to Mexico on the track, you can do all things you want, the kilometer, the 500 meters, the 200 meters, the 100 meters, all what's below 1 minute, you have voorsprong.
You've
From
got
the
an
whole
advantage.
You have an advantage on with the height you are, 2,300 meters. You have all what's more, you don't have any more an advantage. So that's the reason why Merckx went there, and Ritter and all the guys, they went there for 6, 7, 8 weeks, because their body have to feel like it has. Then you have no resistance from the air. There's not so much oxygen in the air is thinner, so the aerodynamic is better.
So on these bursts, during the winter period, these bursts you want to do them just to the point where you start burning oxygen. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
No,
we
no,
just
not really.
Where you yeah, well, it's like a sprint, a 10-second sprint, it doesn't take long, does it?
Right. Yeah.
That's what you want to do. I mean, like Dirk said, and I said just before, you do your short sprints on short bursts, and when your fitness gets a lot better, you can move into longer work, But it's not. Don't make it too specific. Don't make it too scientific.
Yeah.
Have a
It's-
sort of a basis outline and make it fun. That's more important.
It's not, that's niet tastbaar.
Yeah, you can't touch it.
You
It's
can't
like,
touch it.
It's like
But
the feeling he has in
I'm
my
there,
legs.
yeah.
It's not something he can say, well,
You can put
20
some,
seconds,
this is how you do it.
put something on paper
Okay.
and said, Allan Peiper's legs
not
are like
normal.
that. No, you have to feel it.
Okay.
But it's not touchable. And the same as with training. You're there with 50 guys, and you have to feel when you can do 20 seconds, 30, 40, 50 seconds. You have to feel it, you have to see how it works. And sometimes we do some, last week we were on the track, we were with 35 guys, and we were riding around on the top of the track on the balustrade.
yeah, I don't know what that is.
Helemaal van boven.
Top of the track.
On the top of the track, on the top of the track where the people are sitting. And it's very hard to ride there. You go a little bit down, up, you have to push in the corner, you go down, up, push again, and you go always, and it's very hard. It's always, and we start training with 15 guys, and everybody's riding one lap full, you go puff down, you take a lap, and you go behind again. And then I said, hey, you come down, hey, you come down. I look, and I have to feel how long they can do it. And I go on with my son and with Peter Verbeek, who's riding for the Koolstroop team, and they go on, they do 20 more laps than the others do, because they were ready for it. You have to feel it. If you are a trainer and you have to train somebody, you have to feel how far you can go. You can't say, that's the program, I do for everybody the same. You can make a base program, and then you have to work it by yourself out, or your trainer have to follow you very close to specific training, to put it really to the point. That's very important. And also in winter training it's like that. But you feel every week they are better and better and better. If some guys they don't come for 1 or 2 weeks, they are dropped. You feel you're not anymore in the system you have. You build it up, it's like you build a house.
Any more questions?
Yeah, what do you do if you get sick during the off season, say when you're doing your program, and you say you miss a week or two? I mean, at what percentage are you going to fall back down again? Do you go back to ground zero, or do you?
No, not really. It's like some riders on the road also. They think they are sick. They stop training. They are
mentally
out
blown out.
for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's not like that. You can stay without, if you're good trained and you are on a level. You stop for 5-6 days. You do nothing. You can start again.
Same.
Your level is the same. You don't lose that. After 10 days, 12 days, you build up again. But normally, if you are sick, you have to rest. It's very important.
Yeah.
That's your body. A lot of people, everybody I think in the world, we have go back to the nature. We have to live like the birds and the bees and the flowers. In the evening, the flowers close and they sleep. We have to sleep also in the nature. Some animals, they sleep a whole winter. They are searching something to be warm. We too. If they are sick, they have no doctors. But after 5-6 days, they are healthy again. And your body also, it's not with taking some medicines you're getting better. Because you have to build your own resistance. If a lot of people, and especially in Belgium, they have a cough or something, they go to the doctor, he gives some antibiotics, and again, and again, and again, and again, and they get 21, 22 years old, and you have any more resistance. But you know, in your body, your blood, the white blood cells are going up. It's your defense against the sickness. And if you take medicaments, you're used on it. You need them afterwards. You have to become by yourself healthy again. And that's why it's good to take some homeopathic and natural things.
Yeah. But I don't think, a lot of guys, well, I do it as well, if I'm coming up to the classics and I get a cold, or, I come down with the flu or something, then it's like panic station, you hit all the panic buttons. What am I going to do? I've got to race. And then you get to the realisation I can't do anything about it, I'm sick. So the best thing to do is just lay down and watch TV, and you come out 4 days later, you might feel a bit wonky on your bike, but a lot of times you're even better than before you got sick, because it's only a natural process. It's only a natural cleaning process when you're getting a cold. It's only a natural, your body's saying, get rid of this junk inside here. If you've got the flu, it's something else, But, a lot of times you get over the flu, it'll take you a couple of days to get over it, and you'll be back to where you were, and you think, well, geez, what do they make such a big deal about? And it's just the same in the winter as well. Just listen to your body as well. It's telling you stuff, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm frightened, I'm angry, I want to go and hammer up this mountain, I don't want to, I want to lay in bed. Listen, of course you've got to be careful, because you'll be laying in bed every morning. Because as humans we're all pretty weak, but there's a line, listen to it, If it says stay home, do it. I've done it before as well, thinking I'm better after 2 days with the flu, go out and get 5 k's down the road and turn around and have to go home, just silly. Just silly. It's better to have 1 day more, let your body recover, listen to it.
Good. Any more questions about winter training?
What about other injuries, such as one knee, back, something like that? If you're feeling sore, is it, a lot of people will ride through something, other people will take time off until it definitely doesn't hurt at all, or
It's a good question.
It's hard to judge, because you don't know what.
He asked about injuries. What happens if you get an injury or you feel sore, like in your back or in your leg or in your knee or your shoulder? What should you do? Should you just ride until it goes away, or should you rest until it goes away? Or
it depends what kind of
injury
you have. But normally, if you do winter training in the beginning, everything hurts. Everything hurts.
Because you're not
used to. You were riding for 8 months on a bike and you do nothing else. If you do a lot of stretching, it don't hurt so much, but it will hurt always. If you're the whole day, you're a doctor, you're sitting there behind your desk and you talk with people and you listen and you talk and you're riding and you telephone and you do nothing. The day after, you have to een zak met kool moeten vullen van een camion.
It's just a trip. You have to fill a bag of coal and chuck it onto a truck.
Yeah,
You won't be much good at it.
you're dying at the evening. You understand? You're not used to. So you do something totally different and you use other muscles. But you need to use that muscles in the winter because you have to become stronger. If you're riding in the hills and like in Tour de France you have days with four hills from 15-20 kilometers long, you need muscles in your back. Otherwise they coming out the waist and they're walking like that. You're dying totally out.
Yes,
And the day after you have to be new again.
I can relate to that.
And that's why we work also in winter on it. The 3 months, the planning you have in the 3 months, is for a whole year. You work on everything because there are a lot of muscles you don't use in summer. You use them, but not specific. But you need them, and that's why you have to do a good winter training.
I heard another theory the other day from a triathlon coach in Australia, because I'm pretty open-minded about different ideas and different aspects, and I always like to learn so I can improve myself, pass it on, whatever. And this triathlon coach has trained a guy who was 34 years old and who wasn't very good anymore to come back and set a world professional 200-meter sprint record here in America and beat all the top sprinters in America. And he's like really setting things on fire. This guy's trained his son to be world champion Olympic distance triathlete as well. He trains quite a lot of other people to really big results. And this Cole Stewart was saying that I was asking him about why when I did this kickboarding that I couldn't stand up, after like 10 laps of the pool, I thought I had strong legs. We'd been out for a hammer session with these triathletes and there was only 3 guys left and I'd only been training a week. So I get in the pool, do 10 laps. I said, well, what's the use of me working all these muscles if I don't use them on the bike? And he said that the more muscles you use in your legs and the rest of your body, your heart works more because it has to pump blood to all these different muscles. When you come back to the cycling again, instead of pumping it to 10 sets of muscles in your legs, you're pumping it to 4 sets of muscles in your legs. For instance, I'm only giving you an example. And that way, more blood's coming to those muscles that you're using, which is, obviously really good, because if you train for the 4 sets of muscles in the winter, you start your racing, you still only train for 4 sets of muscles and the same amount of blood. That was his theory, it's just quite interesting to hear actually.
Als je naar een training gaat, dan moet je al de spiergroepen beginnen en je bouwt iets op in je onderbewustzijn.
In your subconscious?
Wat?
In the subconscious.
Ja, dat is iets opbouwd in je onderbewustzijn om bepaalde spiergroepen te gebruiken. En je weet dat zelf niet, maar je gaat specifiek die spieren gebruiken als ze nodig zijn.
Dirk said that he thinks that if you build something up during the winter, different muscles that you're not usually using, you're building them up also subconsciously. And when you come into the season and you really get into a stress period, those muscles will be still in a state to be utilised to help you. When you're going over the top of a hill,
It's a kind of,
feels like
you put a chip in
being
it,
used.
like in a computer, you put a chip in it and it's really working then. And you don't know it, but you use it. You use the power you have.
Anything to get over the top of the hill, all the muscles.
Yeah,
everything hurts, doesn't it?
Anything, yeah.
And sometimes the thing you hurt where you had no muscles. Like some of the time trials I've ridden, I've got off the bike, couldn't sit down because my backside muscles were so sore. Just right on the point where you got to sit, and I never get sore there. How come I don't get it in a time trial? It's that stress, it's that strain. If I could alleviate or find a way to fix that up anyway, no.
like if you're riding on Alto West, you said, still 17 corners, still 16, still 15. It's very long, it's very hard. So you stand up, and if you don't train your back in winter, you use only your legs. So you stand up on your legs, you use the energy from your legs, but you can use the energy you have in your back also. And then you don't use your legs, you get up and you can go better in the rhythm and everything. And you're maybe at 80% otherwise, and then you can use 100% your body.
Up afterwards, I've used my arms and legs. Just about other humans pushing me along. Every type of muscle to try and get to the top. I'd like to get a video of myself being in the back group in the Tour de France one time. I reckon it must be pretty funny because I'm up and down out of the saddle, pushing my saddle forward and up on the front of the saddle, like looking for every different position to use another muscle and still had a bit of energy left.
At the end he was clapping with his ears. So, we talk a little bbit about motivation and the trust you have to have in the people who are around you. It's very important. A soigneur is a very important man for a professional rider, also for amateurs. You have to be somebody around you who you can trust, and you can talk with him or her. And it's like the big father.
Godfather.
It's like the godfather. You have to talk with him, and the soigneur have to feel what you need. He has to feel and to see and to know what to do with him and how to talk and how to handle him. It's very important to know the strong points from a rider and the weaker points of a rider. It's very important to talk a lot about everything, what's going to happen, and you have to talk with that guy to say, listen, tomorrow it's a stage like that, you have there a hill, there's a very important corner, and the final is like that, you have cobblestones, and if you are years in that work, you can talk about everything. I know every hill in French, I know every classic, we can talk hours about that. During the massage I said, Allan, listen, Isbergen is a beautiful race. After 124 kilometers, you have the hill with the stones. There you have to be in the front. It's also a little bit tactic. You understand? That's very important.
The thing is, I need to know this as well for myself, but it's like the old computer gets a bit overloaded sometimes. And if he's telling me that after 124 kilometres I need to be in the front, it's other information coming in that, I'm open to, I'm listening, he's storing it in, he's helping my morale, he's building me up. But I must emphasise as well, there's not many soigneurs like Dirk. I've worked with him 1 year while I was at Peugeot, 5 years with Panasonic, and this year while I've been with Tulip as well. But, with Tulip he's with another team, but I still see him and take his advice, and that's why we're together now. But Dirk, he's the only soigneur I've ever met who picks up this race book, and he'll look at it the first day and he'll say, well, this is where Allan's going to try and win. Or this is where Robert Miller's going to try and win. Or this is where Johan van der Velde is going to try and win. And then he'll work with those riders to those days. He won't treat Robert Miller like he treats me. He won't treat me like he treats Johan van der Velde. We're all different riders, and there's not many soigneurs who work like that. Most of them get in the business, they do their massage, they make their food, they fill their bins, and basta, that's enough, But Dirk, he's involved in cycling. Like, that's why he's here. That's why he's been sitting down writing these 3 weeks full of notes to tell you people these things. He's a professional. He's the most professional soigneur I know. He's involved with the riders. He could be a director if he wanted to. I mean, he's so totally concentrated. He's taken me to races and he's helped me be good for races when, if I didn't have his support, I wouldn't have got there. That's what a good soigneur is all about.
It's like this year in Tour de France. We go to the Tour de France. We got the story with Stefan Roos. Everybody know it. He was too late on the start, and I was very close with Stefan, and I worked very good with him. I was the only one who can handle him, because I try always to be above the riders. I don't tell them shit. I said that and that and that is important. You want to listen? Yeah? Okay, we work together. You don't want to listen? Out. I take another one. That's the only way it works. And so in the evening I was talking about 3 hours with Stefan, and he said, yeah, I have to go home. I went to Mr. Leblanc, the organizer from Tour de France. I can't start again because there are rules and everything. I said, yeah, but we have to go on in the tour. We have to win a stage. It's very important for our team, because I was 10 years with Peter Poston team, with Rally and Panasonic. It was a totally different team. I don't make a mistake, but I didn't realize the difference was so big with Panasonic and Tonton Tapi. So I went to my room, and the whole night I didn't sleep. I was only thinking, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? It was only the third day. We were still in the first hotel. In the evening, the whole night I think about. In the morning I get up. I was very early. In the kitchen I make my bidons, I do everything. I said, there is only one solution in our team. That's Jean-Claude Colotti. He was second in Paris-Roubaix also. I said, that's the only thing who can save us. In the morning, wake up the riders. I went to the room of Colotti. I said, Jean-Claude, listen, we have to do something. We have problems. There are 5 stages in the Tour de France. You can do something. The 12th, 17th, 18th, 20th, and 22nd, something like that. That's important. Yeah, but I will be every day there. He said, it's not possible. First week, everybody is fresh. Everybody is riding for the winning. Every team is nervous to win a stage. I think we don't gonna win a stage, but maybe you can do something special. You have to be there those 5 days. 4 times, he was in the first 4. The 5th time, he got a flat tire on the Champs-Élysées. You know, you have to plan something. You have to work on it, on something to say, that's important, that's important, that's important. That's the way you have to work like a soigneur. And then riders will trust you, and riders will listen to you. Otherwise you talk, it's going here in and there, it's going out. If you talk 1 hour, at least they have some new things. I know Allan since many years, and still I have to tell him something, and he me. And I learn something about him, and he learned something about me. That's the most beautiful thing in our profession. If you can work together like that, because mentally it's very special. I wrote some names down here, and like I told you about Colotti. Then I was working also with Michael Varden when he was world champion in '86 in the Keirin. He was second in the point race. Michael Varden, you have to work with him. He said everything closed, and you have to stay near him on the table. He said, don't eat that. You have to eat that because he's so easy. You have to be always there. You understand? Always close to him and working for him and be like a father. And he listen to. He has to be scared about his soigneur. And then the day he has so much class, he has so much experience in everything, the day that he has to be there, he's there. You understand that that's very important. Then like Ekimov, you have to keep him very quiet. It's a big class, very courage. Much courage. And he's always fighting. Sometimes on 60% of his zijn kunnen. 50-60%
above his maximum.
Yeah, above his maximum. But you have to say easy. Now it's important, and then he's there. And that's very important. Like Dirk de Wolf, I was working this year in the classic. He was riding so hard. It's one of the strongest riders I know. You have always to say easy, not so much training. Oh. Yeah, it's always. And then in the race, he was in the Tour of Flanders. He was so strong, and he beat himself because he was too courageous and too good.
Too aggressive.
Yeah. Like I was working he was with really downs from his 15 until he was 22. His whole career with the young riders, I was working with him. And he was always in my school. And he's always his doubt.
He doubts himself.
Doubts himself. You have to say, hey, that's going to happen. You do that. That's the very important thing for a soigneur and motivation and for a rider. Yeah, I know only the most clever rider I ever known is Harry Kneteman. That's something special. Like for a prologue, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you get up at 6. I'll be there on the table with him, and we talk about everything except cycling. And then his bike has to be ready. He's doing the prologue from 5 or 6 kilometers, maybe 15 times. He knows where every stone is. He knows every corner. And then he's coming back, roll a little bit of legs, go eating again, talking again about everything. He go riding again on the prologue, and he come back, massage again. Sometimes 3-4 times a day, a little massage for him. And then he do the prologue. He passed the finish line and he's really empty. But he was the whole day busy only for that 5 kilometers. And he was so clever. I think there is nobody in the world who can be such a good sports director like him, because he knows all the details. He has aandacht for it.
He's got thoughts.
He has thoughts for it. So every rider is different.
But don't you see what he was just talking about, Joe Kneteman? He's talking really about concentration, isn't it? Yeah, focus. When we talk about life, we're really just talking about concentration, because that's what it is. Our thoughts are scattered and everywhere. We're not centered. We're not focused on the job we're doing. Whether you're studying, whether you're at work, whether you're, whatever job you do, if you're not focused what you're doing, you make mistakes. You don't do it as good. What he was talking about with Jerry Knetemann as well, he gets up in the morning, he's been focused on this race for days. He gets up in the morning, he doesn't want to talk about cycling because in the back of his third eye he's focused here. He just moves on right through the day till he gets to the evening, and he's just got it together because he knows that 5 kilometres he can put in 120%. When he gets to the line, it's over. This is his game. And you don't have to be a professional like Jerry either just to have that concentration. It can be just, whether you're a tourist, whether you're a veteran, whether you're junior, amateur, whatever. If you've got to focus, that's the whole thing. That's like Dirk was saying before. We pick out races. I pick out my races during the year. People ask me, why are you always so good in the Tour of Flanders, or why are you always so good in the Tour of Belgium, or why are you always so good in this race or that race? Because those races are my focus, I know my focus is coming up. Also, I know that you can make mistakes with your focus. You say, like I did last year, after the classics, from May to August, I'm not going to worry too much about the races that come up. I'm not going to focus on anything. I couldn't get my act together. I programmed myself out of doing anything big. I cut the line at the end of April when the classics finished, and I rode a super start of the year for my ability. I was so constant in all the classics and up there in all the races, climbing as good or not better than I ever had before, and I cut the line at the end of April and couldn't get it together again. Came around at the start of August when I wanted to be good, and it started to come around again. Now I knew I'd changed the focus, It's concentration and focus. What you set up for yourself is what happens in reality, You set up you want to be good, you'll do it that day for sure. If that's really what you want and that's what your focus is, And if you set it just the opposite way, it's dangerous stuff, to go the other way for you.
Most of us here, I think, unfortunately, won't ever have the chance to work with Soigné, or we have to be our own coaches, our own, a lot of times we do self-massage and other things. And I know that especially in the middle of the season, I pretty much run on autopilot, like a lot of people do. I tend to lack putting information down in my log and doing things like that because you're just really pre-programmed. Is it really important to you almost have to step outside of yourself and reinforce yourself saying, okay, you can do good in this race, or this is what you need to do, and take more time to prepare than somebody who has the
whole time.
Yeah, and is fortunate enough to have people that are helping them do it.
The support system that they're most
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say something about that. During the whole year, you have to make a plan, and you have to take notes about everything. And that's what I have here. You make paper, and you set training. You put on how many kilometers you do, how long you train, what gear you use, mostly of the training, what other gear you use, if you're training alone, if you're training in a group, if you're training behind the journey, if you're riding a race, how long is the race, the gear you use, your result, how many kilometers, everything. You every day you go standing. I'm 85 kilos or 86 every morning. Your pulse beat every morning, every evening. You see it. And if you have it already after 3 months, you look at it and you're gonna see, hey, my heartbeat was higher here and I feel a little bit sick. You're gonna see a lot of things on it. You're gonna see your best. When you're riding the best, you said, oh, that period I was best. I was 72 kilos and my heartbeat was 42. And you're gonna see if your heartbeat in the morning is low and in the evening a little bit higher, you feel a little bit tired. But you're gonna see the good period you got before, but it will be lower in the evening also because you recover a little better than the other period. And that's important to put everything on paper. Every day again. Maybe it's a lot of work, but it take only 10 minutes every day. What's 10 minutes? But you learn a lot about it. And then you can put everything together and say that and that and that, and I train so like that, and you can go back for 1 or 2 or 3 months or 5 or 6 years. I can, if I have to know what Allan Peiper was using in 84 or 85, I take my book, it's old and brown and yellow, and I look at that happened, and it's such a training, it wasn't good there because, you see, you have marks on it, opmerkingen. What's it, opmerkingen? Every day you mark something special. I don't feel good, I have this, I have that, and then you put, I was really good that period, and I didn't eat so much meat, or something like that. All little details. After a few months, you're going to learn a lot about it. And if you want, if you do that for a few weeks, you can send me always to Belgium, and I make a training program, something for a few weeks. It's no problem.
When you say you need to step outside yourself to have a look, have you made a program or set your focus on something before the start of the season?
Well, I usually am. I'm really meticulous about it. I set up a whole program, and I'm probably a little neurotic about the whole thing, actually.
So
I enter everything in a computer. I have a computerized log. I use a heart rate monitor for almost, I do all all that type. But I find that in July,
you get a bit jaded.
yeah, and you're almost on autopilot. You're getting up, you're doing the same training, and you don't. Yeah, and then at that time, I think it is probably the most important time to be making the most comments as possible. Because you're going to have to reflect, maybe in September, you can reflect back and find out why you were so burnt out in July, and then you can look back at June and find out you trained too hard in June. And
But everybody of us has a biorhythm.
Biorhythm.
Biorhythm. You know what's that?
Yeah.
Biorhythm.
Yeah.
So you're going to see, with the experience I have, there are riders, their iron is low in March. Other riders, iron is low in August. And every year again, the same period. And you have to put it here inside when you are a soigneur, but also when you are a rider. You have to know when you have a bad period, and you have to work on it and to say, oh, easy now, I have to do this and that. I know after the classics you can't go on with Allan. You can't go on because he puts so much energy in the classics that after the classics he need to go to a tour or something, but easy and riding only for riding, only to be busy, and then it's coming back after a few weeks. It's no problem.
I know what you mean though by that jaded feeling, because I have that a lot. And I've only been wondering if it's not because of lack of diversity,
it's monotonous, or it's continually the same thing day after day.
And I've had pro cycling now for 9 years, and I've been riding for 18 years, and I mean, I know bikes in and out, and I've cleaned the inside of my hubs out with Silvo and run them without oil and all this stuff, and so I know it's sort of put the book back to front and front to back, and I'm only sort of starting to wonder how you get that drive back when you're really down, if you need to go out and do something else, I mean, I don't mean to go out and get drunk, but go out and
go
mountain biking.
Yeah.
Go mountain biking in the mountains and have a camp, or
That's
get off your bike and go swimming and go surfing, or do something really freaky, Look, sometimes I've been out, I've had 4 or 5 days off the bike and come right back and ridden the best race of my life because I was relaxed, I'd done other stuff. And I'll give you a good example. Phil Anderson does that all the time, He comes back over here to the States when he's a bit jaded after the classics, usually after the Tour de France. Comes back here and he's in California, and he goes out with his mates, they go mountain bike riding and they go rollerblading. He goes out on the bay and they have a mess around. And he comes back in the first 2 races, he gets blasted, he hasn't got the form. I see him dabbling back through the bunch. And then race by race, he's getting better, and he's good, and he's great, and he's super. It's like, this needs as much time as these legs down here, I'm only trying to work out how to do it as well, because like you, I'm my own hard taskmaster. I've always wanted to be, and Dirk knows this as well, I've always push myself to the limit and then further, and then not knowing when to pull back in and do something else. I've got no other hobbies, you know. I'm 32 years old nearly. And what's your hobby? Well, cycling. Yeah. What do you do in the winter? Well, I live for cycling. Don't you go out in the evenings? No, I'm a cyclist. What sort of food do you eat? Cyclist food. So, you know, basically I'm a pretty straight guy like you. I have the same problems, but I really feel if you try a bit of diversity, and just for myself, I want to try doing some other things this year when I get jaded like that. I want to go to the pool the day after the race if I'm really wrecked and just have a swim, because if I go out for an hour, I can hardly get my legs around. And I'm sick of it. My head's aching. I don't want to be here. I want to be home on the couch in front of the TV, or go down the pool and have a swim. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the right way, and I don't know what Dirk thinks about it, but diversity. I see it on Phil. I've seen it on other riders. You do different things, change your ideas, get a new outlook, and get back there, and you can smash them again.
Yeah, but it's really like that. And that's what I mean with winter training. You're busy for cycling. You do something, it's very
interesting and exciting, yeah.
It's exciting, and you do something totally different about cycling, but you're working on cycling, but you don't know it.
In the back of your mind.
And you're very good busy. And I sometimes get sick about some riders in Belgium, because in the morning they get up, what we do today, it's a race at the second stage in the Tour of Belgium or something like that. We have that hill, and they talk the whole morning on breakfast about cycling. They never talk about training or food or something, only the race. And then during the race they are talking about other riders, and after the race they're talking about the race they have done. And in the evening on the room they are looking the video from the race. They're coming home, and the wife take the video from the race from last week, and they look again, and they talk only about cycling. They are so empty here.
There's quite a few meatheads.
That they can't talk about nothing. It's like Dirk the Wolf, we talk about nothing else than cycling, cars, and women. And that's
pretty general.
I'll go along with that.
The women come in there quite a bit.
Sometimes you have to think on other things, because it's doing only well for your body. It's doing only well for your mind, because you need you see new horizons. Read a book about something totally different than cycling.
That's part of our job too, is that we bring up different subjects, and you guys can easily do that by going out with a friend who has nothing to do with cycling.
Greg LeMond goes fly fishing. That's how he golfing. That's how he takes a mental break, just from his,
People have run him down for it, though, haven't they? They've run him down for going to play golf.
There's the difference between.
I mean, that's an American.
That's the big difference between European riders and American riders. I think I can't live with American riders. I can't work because I have my system. I have a system, and I think that there are American riders who will listen. He's also a little bit American here, and Anderson, and they stop up, they go out eating in another hotel or another restaurant, and they go golfing, and I can't understand that. They are in training camp. I'm alone here in the hotel because the riders are golfing now. In training camp they are golfing. I tell you that we get up, we eat together, we talk about what we're going to do, they go training, they have massage, and they rest, and the day after again and again. Americans are totally different. I think you have to
take. You think that there's a mixture?
Yeah.
You have
this lifestyle and your lifestyle.
You live them together. Go out and fly kites.
Sure.
Just to get away.
Just a mental release.
It's so difficult, I think, for the Americans to concentrate them for 3 weeks on the classics. I think it's not possible if you have that style of life.
A lot of the guys with Motorola and 7-Eleven have been like that as well. They're so free, and they do their own thing. It's like Phil Anderson when he went to the Motorola training camp last year in Santa Rosa. He got there and he'd done 2,500 kilometres. He didn't have a real good contract because he left it a bit late and everything. Whatever happened, he was motivated totally to getting out there. Phil's like the pro of pros, He always has been all his career. He's everything Phil's done is like the best. So he gets to Santa Rosa, he's done 2,500 kilometres. Most of the bikes get there with their skis, Some So, bike? What bike? Didn't you bring our bikes? You know, like, they haven't seen the bikes since last October. So anyway, they arranged to go train at 10 o'clock the next morning, right? Phil's out the front, all the other guys, you know, come out. Some are coming out for 5 past 10, 10 past, quarter past. Where you been? I just, you know, had to go to the toilet or something. Come outside, right, let's go, where are we going?
That's
I'm going here, they're going there, 3 go that way, 5 go this way. Phil was with 4 guys, 2 guys turned around after an hour. Bob Roll goes out and did 10 and a half hours. Phil couldn't believe it. He said, what's this team all about, you know?
That's what we talk about this morning also. And I talk about Hamstin. Hamstin, it's such a good rider. He won 1 time Tour of Switzerland, 1 time the Giro. Twice the Tour of Switzerland, yeah. And that's it. He could win maybe 5 times Tour of Switzerland, maybe 3 times the Giro, maybe 2 times Vuelta, and maybe Tour de France 1 or 2 times. And what they have? Nothing. Almost nothing. So then I think Americans...
Almost nothing for his ability, you mean?
Yeah.
Almost nothing
There's
for his
also a
ability.
situation of what Dirk's doing and Allan, they're in a European system. They race so many more days than American schedule.
Our
Like
first
for the
domestic
Coors Light,
race isn't until May.
the Coors Light schedule is so much less than what the Europeans have to deal with.
Yeah, but the Coors Light team win most races in the whole world from all the teams.
In the United
They win
States.
60, no, in the whole world.
Oh.
They win 66 races.
See, he knows
There you
this.
go.
I don't
There you
really know
go.
this. I don't know
Watch
this.
that.
But we also, we might be, I think our team is a bunch of different personalities that have come together and they ride as a team. We have a real concept of team riding and knowing who is going well at one time. They'll step back, Davis Finney will step back and let Steve Swart win if Steve is feeling better than Davis. So the Coors Light concept is a team concept. But we also don't race as many races as these guys. We don't race 5 days a week. I mean, we don't go from one race to another. We do, but there's a break. Our schedule is much less demanding. It's demanding as far as sponsorships goes, and we have to win, but we have that attitude
Plus
to do
competition
that.
is totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
Of course,
very
that is all
different.
the best riders in the States.
But when they go to competition like Europe, then they're like thrown into the deep end, aren't they?
They what happens to them in,
Sharks.
like when we went to France before the Worlds, and I think the guys
How
rode.
many finished?
Okay, the Worlds wasn't so good. But we had a great time. No, we did the Tour Limousine, and Mike Engelman was riding real well. He got 3rd in that race. The other riders, we also had 4 riders that had never ridden with us before, because we went as the world's team. But everyone was willing to work for Michael at that point, for that race.
You got
Michael
a great day. The hotel wasn't open, you sleep in school.
We had a lot of things going against us, you guys. To get 3rd at the Tours, we did darn good. And also the jet lag, just everything combined. We don't have team vehicles in Europe. We're working out of cardboard boxes, and we're dragging all our shit around, and we're begging for, Dirk begging from our luggage and his things to get into his trucks to get into the next race. So it wasn't easy for us, and so I thought we did very well. But the 2 different concepts of the way they race and the way we race, I think that we would have to be more strict with that. We would have to be more strict with training if we were to do a schedule like the European schedule. We're in a different. We have guys that train for certain races. We have 3 races in the United States that we train for. We have the DuPont, we have the Pro Championships in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's, that are big races, that are the money, the prestige, and the ones our sponsors want us to win. In Europe, there's 5 times that many races, 10 times that many races that
Like in
a
Belgium,
team
we
has to
have
do.
next year 137 pro races
Yeah, and for us
between
to...
March and September.
And so that, it's a different concept. And if we want to get into the European races, then we will have to become more
But it
more
has to be a
strict,
slow
more...
process, because our team that I work for this year tried to do it a European way. They tried to have everybody ride together and do all this. And by the third week, the guys, oh, I'm sick. Oh, no way, I'm not going. And they were just totally.
So you couldn't say, you couldn't do that in our team. I mean, if you were in a European team, like even with Peter Post, you know how hard he was. I mean, if I hadn't been to Tour de France, he'd be ringing up Dirk saying, listen, when's this Peiper going to get some action, you know, I want to see him. Then Dirk's kicking me for 2 or 3 weeks, you know, so he gets some action, because if I don't perform, he gets on Dirk's neck and someone else's neck, and it's like, it's just such a different game. But I just wanted to say, Australians are like Americans as well. We've got a really laid-back society. It's not like Europe, you know. Europeans are straight down the line, they're stuffy, they get dressed up Sundays, they don't go out for breakfast, they don't walk around in their bathers in the summer, you know, they don't wear bikinis down to the supermarket and stuff like this. The Europeans, this is what it's all about. It's a whole total different mentality. When they do something, it's like women in Europe are barred on the scene, you know. These soigneurs, like, you know, I personally think women soigneurs, one in a team is fantastic because you get a male-female touch. Like, I can't go and cry to Dirk, he'll give me a clip in the ear, you know. But if I go to Paddy and I say, listen Paddy, look, shit, I miss home, you know, I can't handle this anymore, it's been too much for me, I'm tired, you know. Paddy's going to say, come on man, you know, it's only 10 more days, for Christ's sake, I'll be there with you, you know. And she'll have that women's touch, she'll say, can I do anything for you tomorrow, you know. Not making it obvious, but she'll say, can I make you a special sandwich, or can I help you out, or can I do something for you. Whereas Dirk's a bloody hard man, you know, he's going to say, you know. Not that he wouldn't feel it, but he can't show that emotion, and the women can. See, in Europe that's not allowed, you know. We're hard, we're not allowed to be soft.
You have we have a totally different school we got when we were younger also, because and especially in Belgium, the whole time Belgium exists, about 3,500 years, we were fighting for it. Everybody was fighting. The French people would have Belgium, Flanders, the Dutch people would have Flanders, the Germans are coming 2 times with 500,000 in one time, and the Spanish guys are coming. We were always fighting. You have it in your culture, and that's the way we live. And I want to tell, like Zoetemelk, he stand up in the morning, he go 10 steps to the elevator, 15 steps to the table, he eat, he go back the 15 steps to the elevator, 10 to his room, and he go in bed. And then he said at 9 o'clock you have to be down. At 9 o'clock exact, he's down, he go on his back, he's riding back in bed, and he sleeps. The whole time, you wake him up, come massage, yeah, Joop. Yeah, Joop is lying, sleeping on the table. Say, Joop, turn over. Oh yeah, you turn over. Massage. Oh good, well, we make some vitamins, so you have to do this or that. Okay, bed again, up, wake him up for eating. His dog is eating, in bed and sleep again. He sleep, he eat, and he's riding. Yeah, and he is still like that. But he is still like that. He stopped already 5 years.
But he hasn't got much of personality.
And that's the most extreme I can talk about.
He's the extreme example of European focus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have the Americans as a totally different.
And now what happens when you
We had a lot of
says,
fun though, we went rafting.
what happens when one of these European guys says, that's it, I don't want to see the bike, I'm tired of riding, I can't focus.
Yeah. You said, okay, out, you go home, and the day after he's back. Then can I come back?
Oh, really?
The thing is, they keep it inside themselves.
They can't